Your frame of mind is the lens you take on your life with. It's the mindset you hold, which is shaped by your beliefs, past experiences, mood, and perspective. For example, if you're in a scarcity frame of mind, you're going to view life as limited and competitive. Whereas if you shift that mindset into a mindset of abundance, you'll see possibilities, opportunities, and that there's enough going around for everybody. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my channel. So, over the past few years, I've done a lot of inner work, which has obviously led me to the point that I'm at today. I've made many mental and physical shifts, but most importantly, I've recognized my shortcomings within my mindset. Ever since I adopted these shifts, I've had so many things manifest from my vision board without me even realizing, and so many opportunities that have literally just fallen to my feet. The doors just keep opening. So, the first self help book that I ever read was The Mountain Is You by Brianna West. Now, I read this in grade 9, and I remember it was at that moment that I realized I had the power to change my life despite the hardships that I was facing. The core message in this book is that you are your greatest obstacle, which you must overcome. And until you dig deep and face your emotional truths, they'll just keep resurfacing in different environments. And I think this book is really what taught me the concept of that emotional baggage and emotional overflow. When you don't dig deep and get out all of those subconscious things that you've suppressed, then they're bound to overflow at some point in your life. And this is why you keep repeating the same patterns. It's when you just suppress these things and you allow your emotional baggage to overflow. So visualize yourself on a path. You're walking on this path. At some point, there will be a mountain blocking your path. Let's say that this mountain is a problem, a difficult situation, or a difficult person. Instead of feeling like your path is blocked, reframe. You don't need to detour. You need to climb that mountain. Is it going to be difficult? Yes. Is it going to be uncomfortable? Yes. But there is something greater waiting on the other side of that mountain. Now imagine if you decide that climbing that mountain is too hard or is going to take too long. Then you'll never see what's on the other side of that mountain. And I can promise you that it's much better than having that mountain blocking your path and blocking your blessings. That leads to the next frame of mind, which is turning your scarcity into abundance. When you are constantly in a worried state, you are feeding a channel of fear and a lack of abundance and blessings. That is your belief. You're signaling to your mind and to the world around you that there's not enough to go around. Not enough resources, not enough chances, not enough for you. I know many of us feel pressured to gain money, time, love, and opportunities. And in this pursuit, we may engage in viewpoints of a scarcity mindset. And this can look like stating things in your mind, such as, what if I lose what I have? What if this is my only shot? What if I fail? What if I don't get that job? What if they leave me? What if someone gets it before me? You must throw away all of these whispers from the devil and recognize that just being here and being alive is a blessing. And that is your baseline, that is your bare minimum. And anything additional to that is just the cherry on top, all of those extra blessings. Now, I actually learned this perspective from a YouTube video, which I'll link in the description below. And it's about snapping out of your scarcity with men and money. So, yes, basically, it's that everything in life is additional, it's not owed to us. The food that we eat, the jobs we have, the friendships we have, all of these little things. Now, this mindset also forces you into a framework of gratitude. I know that ever since I've shifted into this abundance mindset, it's made me so much more grateful for just the little things. And it's made me grateful for my failures or when I don't meet my expectations because at least I got to a point, I got above that baseline. Now, when you're in the scarcity mindset, you live in this energy, you're always on edge, always gripping tightly to whatever you have, even if it's not meant for you. And ironically, that resistance actually blocks the blessings that are waiting for you, the ones that you've been praying for and wondering why your prayer is not getting answered. It's because you're gripping onto things that are not meant for you in your future. There's better things waiting for you, but you can't have those better things if you're still gripping onto the past. When you're driven by fear, you won't be able to attract what's meant for you. Fear triggers that need for control, and control is something we must let go of. And that leads into the next shift, which is that rejection is redirection. What is truly meant for you and your greater future will never pass you. You have to fully believe this in order to adopt these mindset shifts and to let go of that need to control and that fear of rejection. You have to trust God so much that you realize things aren't happening to you, they're happening for you, for that bigger plan. Because you know there is a bigger picture playing out. But when your mindset is so limited, you don't realize this, and you're just living for the moment. When something doesn't go your way, when you fail, when a door closes, when you don't get that opportunity that you were praying for, your ego may feel disappointment. But your soul should feel peace. Peace in knowing that God's plan is playing out exactly how it's meant to. Because rejection is God's way of telling you that He has something better planned for you. And that truth is protection, not punishment. We feel like we're being punished when we don't get our way or when we fail at something, when we don't gain that opportunity. You have to trust God so deeply that you stop chasing what was never meant for you, what was never yours, and start aligning with what is. The next shift is if not now, then when? I heard this quote on TikTok, and it's what you're not changing, you're choosing. If you're not making a different decision today, not getting yourself off the couch, not putting that phone down, and not pushing past your temporary desires, then when will you see a change in your life? You won't. Live to change in this moment. Stop planning your agenda for change in the future. Start now. Do it now. Every decision you make today will have an effect that trickles into your future. So stop taking these small decisions so lightly, whether it's what you're eating, what you're watching on your phone, because they do make a big difference in your future. Stop being like everyone else unless you're comfortable with remaining average. The other day I was thinking to myself, I really don't feel as strong in my faith as I did in the beginning of 2024. And not only did I feel that peak in my faith, but it just made me feel better all around. And I just missed that feeling. And I was having a lot of dissonance because the attitude of wanting that expectation of being my best self in my faith, I was not meeting that expectation of a fulfilling Islamic lifestyle. At that time, I was praying the extra non obligatory prayers, doing extra recitation of dhikr, and just meeting the goals that I had set for myself. So then, those few days ago, when I was praying my daily 5 prayers, during one of them, I just thought to myself, I should just start now. Why don't I just push and start right now? Let me pray that extra prayer. So I pushed past that laziness that the devil was trying to persuade me into. And that day, I prayed all the extra sunnah prayers. And it felt amazing. It only took a few extra minutes out of my day for a lasting feeling of fulfillment. And ever since then, I've felt stronger already in just a matter of days. I showed myself that I can live up to whatever standard I set for myself. It is evidence. Now, the next perspective is the Let Them theory by Mel Robbins. Now, I know I dedicated a whole video on this theory, but it really just deserves that much recognition. The Let Them approach works well alongside these other frameworks because it's rooted in making internal shifts to better your life outwardly. It's about removing your need for control over others and redirecting your focus to what you can control yourself. So you simply let them and let me. It's about releasing your grip on trying to manage how other people think, behave, or show up, and instead redirecting that energy back to yourself. So when someone pulls away, changes, or disappoints you, or just doesn't align with you anymore, you let them. And then at the same time, you have to let me. Let me focus on my growth. Let me stay aligned with who I'm becoming. Let me choose peace over reactivity. So, for more on this theory, definitely check out my episode on the psychology of peace, where I dive into the Let Them theory and some of my favorite lessons from that book. Now, all of these shifts are dependent on detachment. You can't release your foundation for scarcity unless you detach from those conscious and unconscious perspectives that guide your life. But I also feel like you can't actually practice detachment alone. It's not a mindset that just stands alone, you know? It's dependent on the overlapping perspectives. And then those other frameworks that we mentioned before are also dependent on detachment. So it's actually a bidirectional relationship. Because when you're overly attached to people, outcomes, timelines, you start gripping to everything out of fear. And that's where that scarcity comes into play. The belief that if that one thing doesn't work out, it's over for you. But when you shift into detachment, you naturally start moving into abundance. And when you shift into abundance, you naturally start to detach. You see how it's a bidirectional relationship? It's that mindset of saying what's meant for me will find me. And you don't need to beg or chase or grip very tightly. And if you do, then that's simply not meant for you. And of course, detachment also perfectly connects to the let them theory because you're detaching from the reactions of others. You detach from that control of trying to force how other people see you, how they respond, or whether they stay. You let them, and you let yourself refocus on what you can control. But detachment doesn't mean that you stop caring or stop trying. You're still putting in the effort. You're doing your part, and then you're surrendering to God and letting Him do the rest. It's a calm and confident energy. I've shown up with intention, and now I'm releasing the outcome. So that's the beauty of shifting your frame of mind. It's not about becoming the perfect version of yourself overnight. It's about learning to think differently so that you can live differently and live in a different presence, not one that's rooted in fear and a need for control. Every shift is a small act of self liberation. I know that these shifts have honestly rewired how I see myself and how I see the world and the process of life. And evidently, it's improved the way that I show up and the space that I take up. It's made my energy more magnetic and positive. So if you take anything from this episode, let it be that your thoughts shape your reality. Thank you for being here with me today. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone you love or revisit it when you need a mental reset. Until next time, protect your energy, trust the process, and keep becoming her. You know I love you guys, so if you want to reciprocate the energy, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.